You're watching W Media, and we are coming to you from Chennai Cloud and Data Center Convention. Joining us now is a very special guest, Mr. Ramchandran Nimmargi from L&T. Welcome to W Media,
Thank
sir.
you.
So let's begin by you telling us about how you have seen the cloud and data center industry grow and evolve in India.
See, cloud and data center industry, I've been here for about last 18 years and started from a small computer room to today. We talk about AIs, we talk about large scale centralized, and then there was a huge hue and cry about connecting it the last mile, the centralized edge, and in between, what happens between the centralized to the edge. So from the user perspective, today somebody was talking in the conference today saying that we are about 700 million customers are connected to the internet through the phone. So that means so much of usage. And today we may be at about certain GB per person. The evolving industry in telecom, whether it is entertainment, whether it is hospital or medical or any other research field, I think as a data center where data is to be created, accessed, and also stored has become very, very important and very interesting today to see growth is everywhere, centralized to the last mile of the edge. So that's how I see. And there's enormous amount of opportunity for India and even for the world to look at us very seriously.
It's not just opportunity, it's also about ambition, because now India has the ambition to be a fully developed economy by 2047, which is 100 years after Indian independence. Yep. What kind of a role do you see the cloud and data center industry playing in that?
Look, I think if you look at it from the energy perspective, last few years, if you go back multiple decades, there have been multiple industries who were energy guzzlers. And if you see data center, why everyone is talking today is about we are growing very fast. The steep curve, which is actually taken multi-terawatt hours, we are about 2 to 3% of the overall, but the growth pattern has been in a very short time. So that has really opened up everyone's eye. Now, what it calls for is, how do I fulfill this energy in the overall industry? One, do I have so much of energy to actually sustain from a fossil perspective? Today, you can't utilize so much of power in a short span, plus support the other industry, right? Which are also, again, guzzlers. So that means the energy where you produce is become very important to support this. You cannot run without the data and the data centers today. The data has to be connected somewhere. So having said that, as a country in India or elsewhere, I think from an Indian perspective, I see quite a lot of commitment, not just from the government. Yes, there is a high-level commitment from the government saying that, okay, there will be a lot of benefits for the operators from energy perspective, but from an overall sustainability point of view, I think a lot of renewables will come through and a lot of policies will come through. And India as 2047, is that something which we asked for? 100 years, I think you have to set goals. Otherwise, you cannot achieve anything. So while you go up to that 2047, I think there is a lot of effort going on from people like you, making people understand in terms of the industry, how much are we doing, and what else is to be still achieved from a generation perspective, utilization, and also being highly efficient. So that's where I see. I think India will be on the edge and set up certain standards for the global. That's what I see, because in the US and Europe, they have been building data center for the last 20, 21, 25 years. That's been evolved over a period of time, right? Now that the requirement of data connectivity from people to the processors and the last mile has become so huge, probably in Europe and America, they may not have done it, but we can set an example. There's a lot of opportunity for us in India.
Well, building on the point you raised about sustainability, how difficult is it to walk the talk today? Because, I mean, everyone is passionate about it, but very often it sounds a little hollow, a bit like, a marketing campaign or a PR stunt. It's not easy to accomplish, even if we have new technologies like liquid cooling, immersion cooling, chip level cooling. There's still challenges. How difficult is it to walk the talk on sustainability?
Look, again, as I said, I'll build upon what I said. In a short span of time, we need to achieve quite a lot because of the energy requirement. First thing is, if we do not talk about it, if it is not in your agenda as a sustainable, being a sustainable organization, you are not in the list of the efficient organizations or the conglomerates in the industry. So somewhere you need to have, like for example, India has a target of being carbon free, and so every organization has a barometer set up. They actually put it onto their website. So that means people are coming out and talking about it. So there's a very early stage of, yes, I have something to do, right? So then you build upon, how do I do it? Today, thanks to all the innovations and coming through in the cooling. So that's the biggest part of your data center, because that's about 35, 40%. So I see, I've been in this industry, again, as I said, I've seen a lot of evolvements happening from small cooling units to high density cooling units, immersion today, and various other things. So somewhere you need to start looking at, how do I reduce that power which is going into the cooling? That's the first step towards your data center, right? So that's one. Second is on, how are you powering the entire data center, as I talked about the previous one, the renewables, right? Today in the conference, again, thanks to all of you, someone talked about Chennai and Tamil Nadu being more profound about the wind energy being there. So there are multiple ways. The energy mix is not easy, right? So somewhere you need to talk about, how do I be myself to be off grid and then be in an island mode, connect through your solar PVs, battery energy storage, which is called as BESS, and try and inculcate some sort of the hydrogen fuel cells and wind energy. Tell you what, it's not easy, and I'm working on a big data center project, which is energy mix off grid, which is an island mode. It's a great learning for right now at this point in time. So looking at it, this is how you will be able to walk the talk of sustainability. 5 years ago, everybody talked about sustainability, but it all felt, okay, it's all kind of, and I need to be on the bandwagon. Today, people are doing it, and however small it is right now, there's the right step towards it. So that's what I believe.
Let's speak about the Chennai market now. After Mumbai, it's the second biggest data center market in India. How upbeat are you about Chennai?
Look, I moved from Bangalore to Chennai, and I could have moved into Mumbai. Probably Mumbai is probably number one from the overall surveys which are done across and also Chennai. What happens here is, it's a growing city. It's got a lot of better infrastructure. First thing is connectivity, and two is the talent pool. Talent pool is immense here. If you see any conferences in Chennai, they are very, very technically driven. Less of market gimmicks, marketing gimmicks, and they talk about something which is really on hands-on. So if you look at it from a talent pool perspective, cable landing station, and the connectivity plus the infrastructure. I will not talk about government, the approval processes, but that's a kindly always evolving sort of a thing. And they're also putting the right effort into it. I believe from a connectivity infrastructure, cable landing, and the talent is immense. And also, I think Chennai has been a kind of an early adoption. If you see some of these AI-driven immersive cooling, Mumbai has been always there, taking the baton in front. I think Chennai is not far off, and I can assure you that in Chennai you will see multiple new adoption of technologies going forward.
Speaking of adoption, AI adoption is inevitable, but the pace at which it is happening compared to the pace at which AI has itself exploded, do you think we are just playing a catch-up game right now? Have we even figured out what we can do with it? How are we responding to AI?
Today you cannot run away from these things. If you have heard the story of NVIDIA becoming probably next to Apple, about $365+ billion, the kind of revenues which they've had in the shares. So the point I'm making here is that it is coming. It is already here with you. You cannot be away from it, because it is a need of today. Be it your phone or Netflix, whether people talk about streaming time and latencies and various other things. If you want to achieve what you want to do in your clinical field, medicine, or IoTs and various other infrastructure requirements, you will have to be connected to AI and ML. So there are a lot of technologies coming from an IT perspective to remove such heat, which are from I was listening to the NVIDIA, one of the technical shows. So he was talking about the Moore's law. We talked about Moore's law being so many transistors, millions. But today they're talking about 1 square millimeter per watt. So every square millimeter takes 1 watt. So that means a smallest size of half your smartphone can guzzle about 1 kilowatt. And 2 of them, it's actually going to really pack up the entire thing. So that's the processing capacity they have. I guess, as I said, it's inevitable, but only thing is we have to work around how do we achieve. We need it. And when there is a necessity, you will find the ways of doing it. So I guess that's where we are today.
But I'm going to take you back to the point you made about the talent pool. We have a huge talent pool in Tamil Nadu. We probably produce more engineers than anybody else in the country. Yeah. But with AI, there's a pressure on the talent pool as well. Some have to reskill, some have to upskill, and there's already an existing skills gap. Yeah. How do you propose to address that?
Look, I think what goes on the chip, somebody has built it, right? So somebody has written it. But to run such data center, you need a highly skillful system. It is not running a small construction field or a small electrical, facility. I talk about one thing which is very, very important is who is running your data center, right? So there are investors coming from global investors in India, the heavy amount of talent pools available. But if you do not structure your team, if you do not train the team well enough, in the jargon of technical field, we talk about SOO, sequence of operations, method of how you do things, why you do things. Today, I guess L&T, I work with L&T and in buildings and factories, and I head the data center. So I'm quite happy to see the amount of push which is happening towards getting these new graduates coming in or new blood who wants to learn what is the data center all about, right? There's a huge buzz. As you said, 2047, so much of AI, ML coming in. Everyone wants to be in that line, right? So how do we help? So I think L&T is trying to work with various other large educational institute in India and to get them across to understand what goes in there in data center. Why is it so different? By saying that, I guess there'll be a lot of pointers for large institutions and universities, private universities, so to take up these things. I remember long back, I was thinking when I was traveling from North Karnataka to Bangalore, I read through a newspaper. There was something about data scientists and everything. So there was a private tutors. And I said, why can't this be a subject in the college? Tell you what, the next year my son was getting into the engineering, but he didn't want to do data center science. But there is a stream in your Bachelor of Engineering as a stream for data scientists. So data science and everything. So I guess this will be a huge revolution in the learning curve. So that's where, apart from having talent pool, train, and also create that educational stream within the country, that I think will help a lot.
Perfect. Final question, sir. You are one of our guest speakers, one of our panelists today at the convention. How has your experience been so far, and what do you look forward to?
Look, it's always a great experience to have so many the dignitaries and so many people coming from different facets of game. There are people asking about how does the job industry work when there's data centers coming in, AI and ML. Some people ask about how the connectivities are. So I think from the fraternity perspective, it's a great thing to happen. This kind of conference should keep happening. And we should also talk about not just the power and cooling. The another thing is the support system for batteries. I think that's one thing we do not concentrate too much into the conference. We talk about lithium-ion battery. There are various ways of looking at batteries today. Lithium has its own pluses and minuses, and sodium, zinc, and nickel, and also there's a traditional pure lead. So I think having said that, enough of discussions in the right direction for the power cooling and the talent pool and the learning. We should have a lot of discussion about the batteries as well. That's one thing which I can say. I hope you will take that as some of the pointers for the next conference. So we should have some good discussion going forward.
Most definitely, yes. Thank you so much for the feedback, and thank you for joining us. It was an honor and a pleasure to interview you.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.